What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. And with this video, we are jumping back into the medieval times with Dark Knight of Steel. This will be issue number 5, and if you have not been keeping up with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. And in just 5 issues, we have been introduced to a whole brand new world by Tom Taylor. And the world he is showing us is multiple different kingdoms. With assassinations, betrayals, this world is about to be at war. With Black Lightning, aka King Jefferson, he is ready to go to war with the House of El. And that is because he believes that Zala, the daughter of Jor-El, is responsible for killing one of his children. But one of the biggest reveals is that Bruce Wayne, now keeping it a secret, he is one of the children of Jor-El. And this detail is going to play huge into this issue. Honestly, I'm going to say this is probably the best issue that has come out thus far. So be sure to buy the comic, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 5, we are picking up in the Kingdom of El, and standing next to the burial site of Jor-El is his daughter. This is Zala. Finally making her return back to the kingdom, she has come to pay her respects. And while she is here, she runs into Cal, apologizing to him, saying that she should have come sooner, but she has been preoccupied hunting down the Green Man. And what we see from the two of them is that both of them, they are struggling. The death of their father is heavily weighing on both of their heads, both of them wanting some kind of justice. And Kal-El, he promises that justice, it will come in due time. But that is what takes us to the Hob Forest. And we have Harley Quinn making her way through here. As she goes through, she is going to meet the one and only Queen of the Forest, Queen Ivy. And the reason that Harley Quinn has come to the forest today is to ask Poison Ivy for some kind of protection. Not just for herself, but the entire kingdom of El. The forest surrounding the kingdom could be one of the best defenses they ever had. Now Ivy, she's not a big fan of the elves, of everything they do, believing that they shouldn't be the powerhouse they are. She also cannot refuse Harley Quinn, being completely infatuated with her, being in love with her, and wanting her to stay here in Hob Forest with her. Harley Quinn, she really believes that she is best suited out there in the world, making sure innocent people can survive, at least to the best of her ability, when you have people like the elves that are in charge. And so against Ivy's better judgment, being willing to bury an entire army for Harley Quinn, she vows to her that nobody will get through this forest that intends to do harm to anybody in the Kingdom of El. And in that moment, the trees, they begin to speak to her, letting her know that somebody flying high above the trees, they are making their way to El. Not sure if this is someone that is going to be a threat. Ivy and Harley Quinn, they go above the tree line to examine who this might be. And what we see is our Amazon. We see Wonder Woman grabbing her and her Pegasus out of the sky with the vines. They grapple around them like tentacles and drag them down to the earth, with Wonder Woman demanding that they stand aside. This is something that Ivy simply will not do. And so with the battle getting underway, we see Wonder Woman, she goes over, grabs some trees, and starts swinging them like baseball bats. And with Diana just ripping this forest apart, Ivy can no longer stand by and just let this happen. Using her powers, she wraps Wonder Woman up in as many vines as possible, pulling her all down to the ground until she is on her knees. And with Ivy standing directly in front of her, Wonder Woman saying that she cannot be held. But she also lets Ivy know that she doesn't want violence, and at least not with the forest and not with her. But also reminds her that she could crush her skull if she really wanted to. Ivy letting her know that she could just as equally do as much damage using a fungus or some kind of spore going into her eye. The truth of the matter, they are both very formidable foes. With Harley Quinn chiming in before anything gets more out of hand. She wants to take everything down just a little bit, take it down a notch, and try to have a conversation, asking Wonder Woman why she came to this place. She is in search of Zala, because Zala, she has been accused of attacking the Jefferson family, attacking the king's son, the young prince, grabbing him out of his home and dropping him from the sky. Jefferson seeing this with his own eyes, he has no doubt that it was Zala, but Wonder Woman refuses to believe that it was her, and she also understands that this will bring war and it will tear all of the kingdoms apart. And so because of this, she has come here to try to help in any kind of way. And in the midst of this conversation, this is where we see the arrival of Zala and Cal. The two of them come flying in because they do have super hearing, and they heard the forest and the loud crashes of trees just being pummeled through the forest. And so taking this opportunity, Wonder Woman would love to have a word with Zala. With the two of them going off to the side and having a discussion, Wonder Woman informs her of exactly what she is being accused of, and that accusation comes in the form of murder. Now, of course, she says that she has no memory of this. She believes that she is being framed, that there must be some kind of mistake. Maybe it's King Jefferson wanting to have a reason to go to war. Now, we know that it looked very much like Zala when we saw the attack ourselves, and so she could be lying. It could have been her, or it could have very easily been a shapeshifter. And though the Amazons are more than willing to stand by the Kingdom of Storms, Wonder Woman refuses to go to war with them, standing by the side of Zala, hoping that the two of them, they can find a way through this war to stop all of it from happening. And the relationship between the two of them is really starting to turn into a more of a Romeo and Juliet kind of feel. Now, this is where we pick up a little bit later, and we are picking up with Kal-El and Batman, and he has come to show him what he had found, because what they found was kryptonite. Alfred had wrapped this kryptonite in some lead armor that he had, and in doing so, it kind of dampens the power that it is capable of doing, making it almost completely harmless. Bruce enlightens him on everything that he has learned up to this point, believing that this came from Krypton. And after hearing this story, he has to ask Bruce, how did it affect you? If it is from Krypton and it is a weapon that could affect me, why did it affect you? And this is where Bruce finally tells him, finally divulges the information that Jor-El had told him. Because the truth is that Bruce Wayne, he is half Kryptonian. He is the brother to Kal-El. And as soon as Kal hears this information, he is completely caught off guard, with Bruce trying to make sure that the situation stays de-escalated. This is when things jump to 1,000 super quickly, and what we see is that kryptonite taken out of the lead armor, Kal-El grasping it and jamming it into the stomach of Bruce Wayne, grabbing Bruce and flying up to the sky. He lets Bruce know that this is their world now. It is theirs to rule, and there can be no challengers, taking him up into the atmosphere and then throwing him down to the ground. With a giant crash, he lands in the field, and Kal-El, he leaves him there to die. But what Kal-El did not expect was an old couple making their way along this path. This is where they find the Batman, unwilling to leave him here to die. They grab him, noticing the kryptonite that is in his stomach, believing that it is poisoning his body. We see the old man take that kryptonite and rip it out of his chest. And in doing so, we see Bruce Wayne, he is jolted to life. with them discussing on if they are going to take him to the palace or not. He screams no palace, and then he passes out. And so if they're not taking him to the palace, they are going to take him back home. They are going to be taking him back to the Kent farm, because this is Martha and Jonathan Kent. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like I said, I think this is probably my favorite issue so far. I am so glad that this is a 12-issue series, because we're gonna get a lot of fun out of this. And I really like what Tom Taylor is doing with our origin stories of our heroes and twisting them in very unique ways. And right now, I'm going to continue to hold the stance that there is some kind of shapeshifter or imposter, possibly Martian Manhunter, or maybe just Martians to begin with, because I don't believe that that was Kal-El. The way he said that, the way he reacted to that, the way he used that as a weapon as soon as he realized he was Kryptonian. And so far, Kal-El hasn't shown any traits that he is craving power or that he needs control. He wants justice. And though they may do things much like a tyrannical leader when it comes to the metahumans and so on and so forth, while they may be betrayed as the bad guys, he doesn't seem like the just crazed evil guy who is going to kill anybody who is a threat to his reign. And Zala also seems pretty adamant that she did not kill anybody in the kingdom of Jefferson. And so assuming that these two deaths, or this at least attempted death of Bruce Wayne, assuming that these are out of character, there has to be an imposter inside of their midst. But the fun thing I loved about this issue was really the ending, with Jonathan and Martha being the ones to find him out there in the wilderness. Crashing not too far from their farm, we are seeing Bruce Wayne kinda get the origin story of the one and only Clark Kent. What I don't think this is a story where we are making Superman the villain. I think Tom Taylor has some better writing than to go straight to that. And I think there's going to be a lot more twists and turns before we get to the conclusion of this story. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.